Welcome back to Africa Farming. My name is Samuel, and of course we are glad that you've joined us in this new episode. It's been long since we did anything on chicken farming. Remember, we started Africa Farming with our local indigenous chickens. So this episode will be dedicated to that specifically, and that's why you can see me here at my farm, chicken house. Since we started with the 3 chickens, right now I can comfortably tell you that we've had more than 300 chickens here at the farm. We've sold almost 200 of them. Right now at the farm, I think we have around 70. I can comfortably, and I'm convinced that this is something worth trying from a commercial point of view. And these are some of the reasons why we are going ahead and why I expect at the end of 5 years to actually make lots and lots of money. Now, one thing I'll tell you is we have a lot of space here at the farm. And now my plan for the next 5 years basically is to bring what we call the kari improved chicken. So the first thing that we need to consider is you need space for the 1,000 chicks that we want to bring from kari. So one of the things that I'm really proud of at the farm is that we've had 0 mortalities when it comes to the chicks that have actually been hatched at the farm. One challenge that we experienced at the backyard chicken house is that we had a lot of predators around which kept getting into the house or waiting for the house to be open because it was free range, and snatching 1 or 2 chicks here and there and eating them. But here at the farm, we've not had any cases of predators, so we have actually had no mortalities at all, and we've followed the schedule of vaccination. So far our chicks are actually perfect. We've had enormous growth when it comes to this farm. So what we are trying to do is in the next few months we'll be constructing a larger house, a larger construction, which will house the 1,000 improved kari chickens that we want to bring from kari. Kari means, for those people who don't know, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. It has actually been, I think they rebranded to Calvo, which is Kenya Agricultural Livestock and Research Organization. So basically that is where we're going to get our chickens from, because one challenge that we've experienced is slow growth when it comes to the pure and improved crossbreeding, So one thing is we have space, that is a given. So if you of course want to have 1,000 chickens, basically if you want to raise them, you must have space for that. Number 2, the structure. One of the things that we've noticed is, compared to the structure at the backyard chicken house with where we are shooting from now, this one is kind of spacious, more aerated, and more free for the chickens. So I think most of the chickens that we've reared here as compared to the backyard chicken farm, most of these that are here are not stressed at all. They're actually free. And remember, we're also doing what we call semi-free range, meaning they're also eating here in the house, but also going out to do their own free range. So it's more of a complementary system. So when it comes to the structure, we've learned a thing or two. And one of the things that we've learned is you have to make sure that your structure is well aerated. Number 2, where you're supposed to lay, or rather to set up the laying nest, it has to be somewhere that is private and away from direct sunlight. So those are some of the things that we'll be considering when we are doing the new structure for these 1,000 chickens. So another thing that we also need to consider that has played a great role when it comes to chicken farming is administration of the vaccines. We have to make sure that we administer the vaccines as per the schedule that is done. Now, one thing that I tried last year is I tried to do 2 things. Number 1, there are chicks that were actually hatched from the farm that I went through the whole process of the vaccination schedule, and there are others that I decided to skip. Now, if you look at those that did not go through the full process of vaccination, their growth has actually been stunted, and most of them have actually been attacked by some diseases, while these others have actually been resistant. So that is something that we've learned through this course, and one thing that I'll ensure in this 5-year period that we're going to do these kari chickens is that we have to make sure that we stick by the administration of the vaccines. So another thing that we also need to consider is the feeds. The highest cost when it comes to raising these chickens, especially if you're doing semi-free range, is the cost of feed. So one of the things that we're looking out for is, us doing our own feed at the farm. As I said, we have at least some land here. So the only thing we're waiting for is to drill the borehole or connect water that is cheap and affordable for us. which will enable us grow our own crops and our own plants that we can use to make our own feed at the farm. Now, once that is achievable, for us, we'll be able to greatly reduce the cost of feeds, because right now, I'll tell you for sure, the highest cost or the highest expense when it comes to indigenous chicken farming is the cost of feed. Now, other things that we also need to do for the indigenous chickens is water. Make sure that the water is actually available, readily available. Kindly make sure that you also add some multivitamins here once in a while, because these multivitamins help boost their immunity so that they can grow comfortably. Another thing that we've seen as a factor when it comes to production is avoid interbreeding. So when you have chicks that have actually been bred within your farm, ensure that those cocks that have actually been bred at the farm are actually sold, or you decide to consume them yourself. Because one factor is when you interbreed what has actually been bred at the farm, brothers and sisters, for lack of a better word, you might end up having, you know, bad breeds of chicken. Now let's just go and crunch the numbers here. Now each carry day old chick goes for around 100 bob per day old chick, and for 1,000 that will cost me around 100 times 1,000, which is 100,000 shillings. Now when it comes to the vaccines, as I've told you, vaccine is of the essence. I've actually if you've gone to the vaccination schedule video, you've seen how many vaccines you're supposed to give in the first 2 months. Most of the vaccines that we give to Kienyeji chickens are actually given within the first 2 months. And for their 1,000 chicks, it has actually been approximated to around 5,000 based on the experience that we've had at the farm. Now, when it comes to feed, as I've told you, feed will actually be very costly. So based on experience, when it comes to the feed, we are expecting to use around 50,000 or $500 when it comes to the feed per month for all these 1,000 chickens. Kienyeji chickens take around 7 months to mature for sale. For the 7 months and using 50,000 as the cost of feed per month, we'll have around 350,000 shillings. So add 350,000 shillings to 105,000 shillings, you will get 455,000 shillings. Now, when it comes to the labor, as I've told you, I have a farm guy here who's on a retainer, so I'll not put that because he also works on other things. So for me, as at this particular point in time, I'll say negligible when it comes to the cost of labor. Now, also when it comes to the cost of administration of the medicine or the vaccination, especially fowl pox and fowl typhoid, what I've noticed is that most people invite vets to their farm to do the injections. But for me, I'm actually in the process of learning how to do the injections. So at the end of the day, I'll be the one doing those particular injections. So the total cost that I'm expecting to incur for the next 7 months after I've started these would be 455,000 shillings. So currently, the lowest or the cheapest I've sold a Kienyeji chicken here is 1,200 shillings. If we go by that, or let's just say let's go lower to $10 or 1,000 shillings. And also, let's assume, as I've told you, yes, we've had 0 mortalities, but let's just say there'll be mortalities. Let's give it 80% survival rate. So we'll have, out of the 1,000, we are looking forward to, you know, selling 800 of them. So if we do 800 chickens for sale at a cost of 1,000 shillings, that will actually bring us around 800,000 shillings or 8,000 USD. So if you subtract 455 shillings from 800,000 shillings, you get around 345,000 shillings. So that is what we expect to get for the 7 months that will actually be keeping these kari improved Kienyeji chickens. So if you actually do the same thing every 7 months, we expect to actually, you know, get around, in terms of profit, we expect to get around, you know, 1.5 million plus in 5 years' time when it comes to the local indigenous chickens only at the farm. For the last 1 year, we've been doing a trial to see if this is something worth trying, and we are convinced that it is something worth trying because we've kept both improved and pure, and we've seen how much they can actually bring to us. And so for the next 5 years, it's going to be a journey. We'll start by construction of the chicken, the new chickens that will be coming. We'll start by the construction of that particular house where they will house them. and from there we'll actually share the journey with you. So wherever it is that you are and thinking about this, kindly start today in your small farm, just as we started at the backyard chicken house in Kitengela, starting with 3. So I hope this is something that will entice you wherever it is that you are to start today. Otherwise, for us, is just wishing you well wherever it is that you are as you're pondering on starting. And for those who've started and you've had this experience, kindly share on the comment section what experience you've had. If, for example, whatever it is that I've said is hot air, kindly comment on the section down below. And for those who might not be free here, kindly go to our social media handles. On Facebook, Africa Farming. Of course, YouTube here is Africa Farming. For those people who are on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, it's at Africa Farming KE. Otherwise, for us, it's nothing else but bye-bye. And always remember, changamka na ukulima. Bye-bye.